more ball, fewer infractions. This begins in 2020. The future is near. More access, more everyone, more everything.
June 5th, 2019, show number 16.
This is history begun. This is the XFL.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I am your host, The Mark, and on this week's show, former NFL QB Chris Miller to be named XFL Houston Offensive Coordinator, Pepper Johnson named Defensive Coordinator for XFL LA, a full coaching staff hires rundown, and so much more. So how do you get in touch with the show? You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3 or thoughts, or use the Twitter. We're going to switch it up. Use the hashtag XFL Army. That's right. Hashtag XFL Army, because that's what we are. We are the originators, the XFL Army. Brought to you by XFL News Hub. Cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday to get all your stuff in. And remember to leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll read it on the show. Speaking of iTunes, we have a review. KJ Prism gave us a 5-star review. That's right, 5-star review. Great radio show, ! Awesome holistic look at the new XFL League and all the early developments of year number 1. Go XFL, go Houston, and go June Jones. Well, thank you, KJ Prism, for the 5-star reviews on iTunes. Remember to just leave us a review. That's how we get out the show. Apple won't publish us much or push us out there to other things if we don't get any reviews. So thank you for the review. I'm excited about Houston. Houston is probably my second favorite team because June Jones and the Hawaii thing. I like him. June Jones, Johnny Manziel. I'm telling you, there could be something there. I don't know if you want Johnny on your team or not, but I'm really excited about June Jones. Again, and excited about XFL. I'm with you. And of course, Houston is my second favorite after America's team. That's right, America's team, because they're in the nation's capital, XFL Washington, D.C., with your leader, Pep Hamilton. So thanks to the review. Remember, you can just leave us a review. We'll read it on the show. Appreciate that tremendously. Question of the week. We still had a bunch of people come in about what QBs that we should have in the XFL draft. So we're going to leave that. We'll have that. We'll review that a little bit more this show. Next week's show question, construct your XFL team. By the time next week's show comes out, we should pretty much have all the offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, and head coach. Give me your best head coach, best defensive coordinator, and best offensive coordinator in the XFL. We'll put that on a list. We'll see make your best mock team. All right. So with that being said, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. According to a report from our homie, Mike Mitchell of XFLboard.com, which we need to have him on the show, former NFL quarterback and Pro Bowler Chris Miller will be joining the XFL. He'll be the new offensive coordinator for the XFL Houston franchise. Will work under his former head coach in the NFL, June Jones. Miller played in 10 seasons in the NFL from 87 to 95, with a brief comeback in 99. In 1991 was his best season as a pro with the Atlanta Falcons, throwing for over 3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. June Jones was the offensive coordinator for Atlanta from 1991 to 93. Do you see a little correlation? And then was named head coach from 92 to 96, replacing Jerry Glanville. Then they had a little rocky history, the two of them, but they seem to have made up. The two of them have a long history in the pros together, that being Miller and June Jones. Recently, Miller was head coach at West Lynn High School. Before that, he was quarterbacks coach for the Arizona Cardinals from 2009 to 2012. Chris Miller, I remember him in the NFL, is now your XFL Houston offensive coordinator. XFL Los Angeles head coach and GM Winston Moss has been building up his staff this past week, adding former linebackers coach for the Memphis Express of the Alliance of American Football, AAF, Pepper Johnson. This is Moss's first major hire to his staff. Johnson is best known for playing linebacker for the New York Giants under head coach Bill Parcells and then defensive coordinator Bill Belichick in the 80s. They won 2 Super Bowls together, later playing for the Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, and New York Jets I remember when he was on the Jets. He started his coaching career under Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. He spent 14 seasons with the Patriots, winning 3 Super Bowls. He later was defensive line coach for the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. I remember Pepper Johnson when his Giant days with LT and Harry Carson. So to have him now in the XFL is a great hire for XFL LA. LaRae Jackson is the new wide receivers coach. He announced on his Twitter account they'll be the new wide receivers coach for XFL Dallas under head coach Bob Stoops. Jackson played at the University of Oklahoma from 95 to 99. He played his senior year under then new head coach Bob Stoops. So they played 1 year together. Before the XFL, Jackson served the past 2 seasons, 2017 and 2018, as the wide receivers coach for Central Oklahoma University. It was Jackson's second stint with the program as an assistant coach for the Broncos in 2005. The former Oklahoma wide receiver who played for the Buffalo Bills and in the Arena Football League spent the 2016 season at Memphis State as an offensive analyst and recruiting specialist. Jackson spent 1 season at Davidson, where he coached quarterbacks, and 3 seasons at Washington State, where he worked as the director of player relations as well as working in recruiting. Prior to Washington State, Jackson worked for 6 seasons with wide receivers at Dartmouth University. Bobby Blizzard announced on his Twitter account that he is the new running backs coach for XFL Dallas under head coach Bob Stoops. He was the offensive coordinator / wide receiver coach for the Memphis Express of the Alliance of American Football until they folded after 8 games in 2019. He played tight end for the University of Kentucky under then head coach Hal Mumme. In 2000, Mumme is the new offensive coordinator for XFL Dallas. Blizzard played 4 seasons in the NFL and in NFL Europe. He was voted to the NFL Europe All-Star team twice, but injuries ended his playing career in 2007. Since then, he has coaching stints with McMurray University and Belhaven University. At Belhaven, he was the offensive coordinator under then head coach Hal Mumme. You see the correlation between the head coach. These guys are building their staffs with guys that they know well. The XFL has established a health advisory committee comprised initially of experts in neurology, mental health, and orthopedics to support the health and wellness of XFL players. The founding members of the XFL's Health Advisory Committee are Dr. Julian Bales, who we had a profile on a while back, Dr. Larry Lemick, and Dr. Claudia Reardon, representing the fields of neurology, orthopedics, and mental health. Respectively, Dr. Bales will also serve as chief medical advisor. The league also appointed Daniel Wright, most recently the head athletic trainer for the Milwaukee Brewers, as vice president of health and safety. Wright, a member of the National Athletics Trainers Association for more than 30 years, will work with the Health Advisory Committee to prepare and maintain the XFL's health, wellness, and safety policies, procedures, protocols. Wright will also hire, supervise, and evaluate the team athletic trainers as well. We're going to run down all the hires this week. We'll start with New York XFL, New York, under Kelvin Gilbride. They hired Mike Miller, was offensive line coach at Westminster College, Division III NCAA school in Pennsylvania. He has spent 13 years experience in the NFL, most notably with the Cardinals. He was the wide receiver coach in 2008 when 3 of his wide receivers, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, who played for the Ravens, and Steve Breston, each surpassed 1,000 yards for the season, becoming just the 5th trio in NFL history to do that. Ronnie Vinklarik, last job was offensive line coach at Rice University. From 2009 to 2017, he had coaching stops in the NCAA, CFL, and NFL with the Buffalo Bills. So linebacker assistant coach Kevin Kelly, wide receiver coach Mike Miller, and offensive line coach Ronnie Vinklarik. We already talked about Kevin Kelly on a previous article. Tressman adds some people to his Tampa Bay staff. He adds Frank Gans Jr. as special teams coach and Jonathan Himelach as offensive line coach. Gantz is a special teams coordinator for the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL in 2018. Most of his career spent as special teams coordinator in the college ranks and NFL. Gantz Jr. is the son of legendary special teams coach Frank Gantz, a former NFL head coach and longtime NFL assistant coach. Jonathan Himbach was the offensive line coach for the San Antonio Commanders of the AAF. He is the second coach, along with Vince Amy of the XFL Los Angeles, to have played for the XFL in 2001. He was an offensive lineman with with the Los Angeles Extreme, who won the $1 million championship. So he got his XFL. I don't even know if they got XFL rings, but again, second XFL guy as head coach. In Washington, D.C., they added some more head coaches. Some of these guys we had heard of. Defensive coordinator Jeffrey Fitzgerald, defensive line coach Raymond Hamilton, tight end tackle coach Todd Washington, and quarterback coach Tadariel White. We talked about Jeffrey Fitzgerald back in April. Todd Washington will be the tight end and tackle coach. We talked about Tim. Two new names, though, was Ray Sugar Bear Hamilton, played for the New England Patriots in the 70s, was defensive line coach for the Birmingham Iron of the Alliance of American Football until it folded in 2019. Ted White was the offensive coordinator for the Prairie View A&M Panthers in 2018. Before coaching, he was the starting quarterback for Howard University in the 90s. In 96, White was named the MEAC Player of the Year, MEAC Offensive Player of the Year, and Black College Football Player of the Year. White bounced around in the NFL and CFL as a backup quarterback before starting his coaching career. In 2010, he was inducted into the Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. Going down the list, Michael George is the new assistant to Jonathan Hayes at XFL St. Louis. He was director of player personnel for Texas State University from 2016 to 2019. Before that, he held the same title at Ohio University from 2013 to 2016. He's in Tampa Bay. They named Josh Bullock as their team president. Officially, Bullock was the senior associate director of athletics and the senior director of development for the University of South Florida since 2018. Before that, he was the Tampa Bay Devil Rays vice president of corporate partnerships. He held that position for 7 years. He served as general manager of the ISP Sports, now IMG College at UCF, from 2007 to 2010, and associate general manager of ISP Sports at Virginia Tech. Family has connection. We have family connections to Virginia Tech from 2004 to 2007. More guys. New York, XFL New York names John Peterson director of football operations. He will work with Trip McCracken and, of course, Kevin Gilbride. Peterson was the former director of football operations for the San Antonio Commanders of the AAF. Before that, he was a college and high school football coach for 18 years. Peterson transitioned to the front office, serving as a scout for both the NFL and CFL teams. He spent 28 years working for organizations like the Seattle Seahawks, Carolina Panthers of the NFL, and Ottawa Rough Riders and BC Lions of the CFL. Theodis Brown was named director of player personnel for XFL St. Louis. Brown was the director of player personnel for Mid-America Nazarene University. Prior to that, he worked for the Kansas City Chiefs front office as the coordinator of player development. He was a second-round pick of the St. Louis Cardinals and played 6 seasons in the NFL with stops in Seattle with the Seahawks and Kansas City with the Chiefs. He graduated from UCLA as the 7th all-time leading rusher in school history, and in 2011, he was inducted into the UCLA Hall of Fame. So finally, XFL St. Louis gets a St. Louis guy as part of the organization. And there you have it, a full recap of all the hirings this week. You can see the AAF folding helped the XFL because a lot of these coaches were already part of the AAF. They've been kind of vetted. They liked the game. They want an opportunity to do the spring football thing, and they jumped over to the XFL. So the AAF really, between getting their equipment and then losing all these coaches and soon to be players, we'll see, like really vetted a lot of the stuff for the XFL, and it really just puts them in good position for 2020 season to start. All right, we'll be back after this commercial break with your social media stuff. Stay tuned. Listen up, XFL News Hub fans. We got something for you. We have an Android app for your phone. That's right. We're excited to announce the launch of this app, and best of all, it is free. So you get all the breaking XFL news and information from XFL News Hub right on your phone. All you have to do is visit the Google Play Store, type in XFL or near the top, or just search for XFL News Hub. That's right. In the Google Play Store, that's all that you need to do. So what do you get with this app? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier XFL news source in the world, in the universe. You get push notifications when we post a new story. That's optional. You turn that on and on and off so you get notifications when breaking news happens. You can leave a comment right from your phone. You don't have to be on the website. You just leave it right on your phone. You can get, of course, this podcast on your phone as easy, and you can leave us a review on the Google Play Store. You can do that too. Plus links to all of our social media accounts. So it's very simple. Just head over to the Google Play Store, type in XFL News Hub, and download your XFL News Hub app for the Android phone today. All right, we are back with our question of the week. Now, remember, the question of the week is, what QBs should the XFL have in their draft? Next week's question, because we got some more that was trickling in, next week's question, we want you to construct your XFL team. Give us the best head coach, best defensive coordinator, and best offensive coordinator in the XFL. That's for questions next week. So with this week's question, XFL McGavin 1N says, I have a few QB names recognized I'd like to see. Free agents Landry Jones, Johnny Manziel, Mark Sanchez. I think Sanchez is happy at the XFL or at NFL Network. I'm not sure he would be interested. Landry Jones is a name that has intrigued me. I thought he was good when he was in the NFL. Of course, Manziel, everybody's talking about. Currently on guys on NFL rosters that he'd like to see is Colt McCoy, Geno Smith, Cody Kessler. Geno Smith might be a thing, but I believe he got picked up and he might be a backup. But those are some good names there. Tori Butler Rang 1 says, the QB who shows well at the showcases. I want a young and hungry league. I'm hoping to see some guys who are only 3 to 5 years out of college. Would like to use the UB QB if Buffalo cuts him. Brandon Silvers is available and talented. I'm sure Manziel will show up too. So you have all these. I agree. Some of these people are like, hey, John Elway should play for the XFL. We should bring back Ken O'Brien from the Jets. How about Brett Favre? Like, no, I'm with you. It should be 3 to 5 years out of college at most. Some of these guys that are being named are in their 30s. I'm like, Like maybe if you're starting a league to let them play for a year or two, like maybe they just want to play again. But they're taking a spot from a young guy who could do great things as well. But also, I know this is a league, this, that, and the other thing. And like we're new. I want my franchise to win. So if I'm going to take a 30-year-old quarterback or 31 so that we win, America's team, XFL DC, and we just have this dominating start where we win 5 championships in a row, like then I'll take an older guy. XFL_endzone says Keith Price to XFL Seattle. Be good under Zorn. Tori also gave us Tori Butler Rang 1 says Brad Kaya still deserves a shot to play. XFL McGavin 1 also says David Fales and Luke Falk are a couple others I'd like to see too. Finally, the man Mike Mitchell at XFL Board. We talked about Bobby Blizzard being out there. He says, congratulations, coach. Love seeing all the quality football people joining the XFL, and Bob Stoops has always had a great history of hiring assistants and putting together staffs. Absolutely. If you see what Bob Stoops is doing with the XFL and his staff, I mean, that's what makes great coaches great. It's not so much about them personally. It's about them putting their staff together. And if you're a good coach and you lose your coaches, every couple of years, that means that you're doing the right thing because you're still winning. On to Instagram, we have Chauncey Gilroy says Trayvon Boykins. Threw a name out there for that with the question. On to the emails. We got a bunch of them here. It says one is invite. Hi, my name is DeAndre. I'm interested in the XFL new league kicking off in 2020. I would like to get an invite for the tryouts. Again, we'll send them a link. xfl.com/FAQ has all that information for you in there. Chris says XFL app ? Is there any plans for an iOS iPhone app for XFL News Hub anytime soon? I love the XFL and can't wait for it to return. Yes, we are so close to launching this thing. Right now, the code is in Apple's hands, and we give Apple what they want, and then they reject it and say, you need to do this. So we are very close. hopefully in the next week, if not about the next week, you should see, and we'll post it on XFL News Hub, the long-awaited iPhone app coming to XFL News Hub. Andrew checking in on the email side. I think that centers are the most important to success. When you get these guys like Jason Kelsey of Philly, Mitch Morris of Buffalo, and Cody Whitechair of Chicago, in the NFL showing that a great athletic center can really help in the run game and very valuable in the passing game as well. It could help teams like LA or St. Louis, who I think will be more run balanced. One key guy that I think really needs to fit the mold is James Holman. He is 6'6", 350, played at Howard University, very athletic for a big man, good hand placement, very good at pass blocking and run blocking. I have a feeling that Pep Hamilton knows who he is and is watching his alma mater play. I'm going to check out I'm hoping to be at the XFL DC next week, XFL DC one. I'll be wearing my XFL News Hub, XFL hat. So I would love to see if people were out there. I'll give you a little hint. If you're going to be there at the XFL DC, I always wear my XFL hat backwards. And I'm not a obese dude. I work out. I used to be a trainer for a couple years as long as a software engineer, and the guru of all things XFL is my new title. So you'll see me out there, and I'll talk more about that next week when I'll be out there. But I am definitely planning on to be there, and I'm going to check this guy out. We'll see if he's on the list. The style of running backs that I think will be targeted will be a Bo Scarborough, who was on Dallas practice squad. Alex Collins, a Baltimore Raven. Yeah, I don't know. He was like good, and then all of a sudden just disappeared. Seahawks, and Wes Hills, who is a preseason guy for the Cardinals. They are all physical runners who can be the bell cow backs. Most people will think scat back will be better for the style of play of football, but I think going more old school style with a bigger impact. Bob Stoops, who knows a thing or two about power backs and how important they are. Hope this wasn't too long. No, absolutely not. Andrew, great take. One of the things that you actually bring up about, you're talking about offensive line, was that there is going to be a lot more defensive line and offensive linemen at these events, more than just your finesse wide receiver. They're really going deep, finding some of these players. It was a great interview from, this is the XFL show, I believe, podcast, if you want to check that out. Another great podcast that they had Eric Galco on. And if you really want to go deep with that, you can check out their podcast. This is the XFL show. It was a great interview, and those guys are great. Another great XFL show if you want to watch. I listen to them. I listen to other people's shows. It's not just all about me. If it's good, I'm going to listen to it. And I like their stuff. And so they had Eric Galco on. And he talked a lot about having defensive linemen and offensive linemen more. So there'll be about 100 players per event, not 800 total, but a lot of them will be offensive line and defensive linemen. Carlos, talking about coaching opportunities. I'm inquiring to receive information about coaching with one of the league affiliates. I have many championship coaching experience. XFL.com/FAQ. We'll send that to him. Devon, LA tryout locations. I was wondering for the athletes that didn't get an invite, where there would be the LA showcase location. If you didn't get an invite, they're not going to let you in and try out. You need to already have an agent in order to be part of any of the kind of tryouts there. Terrell says, would love to play for the XFL. Great. XFL.com/FAQ. Hope you have an agent. And that is it for this week. Got all those. Thanks for all the emails. Just checking everything. Remember, question for next week. Construct your XFL team. Give the best head coach, defensive coordinator, and offensive coordinator in the XFL. Remember, you can tweet us. You got us on tweets, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, emails, phone calls, and so much more. If you want to be part of the show, email podcast@xflnewshub.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for XFL News Hub. We're really working hard on trying to get some more videos out. Plus, of course, Android app on Google Play. Just type in XFL News Hub. Remember to leave us a review on iTunes. We'll read it on the show. We like to thank our 5-star review we read earlier in the show. I appreciate him checking in and leaving us a review. Remember, you can listen to us now on iTunes, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. We are now on, and of course, Stitcher as well. That's right, we just added iHeartRadio as part of the mecca that is all wrestling, XFL News Hub, getting out there, getting the show out there. So that's it for this week's, guys. Thanks for listening. It's so excited to bring you all the news from Texas. We're not going to be in Texas. If you're there in Texas and you want to send us some stuff, pictures, your take on being at the event, we're totally love to hear from you. We'll be covering that as much as all these players. We're going to start getting player names. We're going to start getting finishing up with the coaches and so much more. Thanks for listening. Mahalo. God bless y'all, and I will see you all later.